Do the teachers dress up on what?
We're supposed to wear our school colors, our college colors. We dress down, I guess.
Pink instead of red.
Huh?
What was pink instead of red?
It did say pink on one of the things.
Yeah, I wasn't sure.
It said for both.
And then Flash and Wall, but that's okay.
So today and like band, we're not supposed to like work or something. What are we doing today?
Oh, right. It
I don't know, I also texted Abby and
Well, I keep coming on this floor. Or like, get like no. Okay. Well, if you want me to be here, I can do that.
I'll leave it up to you. I think you can figure out what is
I'll get it. Oh.
after school.
Okay.
This.
Or I'll just get here in the morning.
I haven't collected.
I
Oh.
think the thought that you are
Okay, so get out your letters. I will like those. Your letters.
Yeah. In a bad way, like calling.
Really?
Wait, shit. It's today. Okay, supposed to be on the Wait, what? I think so. Wait, Eric? Eric doesn't. Yeah. This story, are you all, have you heard about the video thing?
Yes.
Pink was discreet, pink doesn't have gender or equality is just as
Kind of important.
I forgot. No, it's true though. It's so true. Okay, should I watch
Don't have both.
orange juice? Don't do that.
The morning, the morning.
Where's my banana? Oh.
Okay, I'll get your letters. Yes, that's okay. You got 5 insults. Bill, do you have your letter? Can you get it to me by the end of the day?
You have a whole bunch.
Oh, yes, it's fine.
I'm sorry, really sorry. I know, I thought it was my bottom note. Not yet. Actually.
Okay, so I just have to let you guys know that I'm recording myself. Okay, this video camera is pointed at me, but if you're super uncomfortable with that, I can turn it off and/or you can choose just like not to speak. It's not going to pick up your image. It could pick up your voice if you talk. Yes.
Oh, hello.
I'm recording myself because, like, if we're in first or second year teaching, our teaching mentors have to watch the lesson that we gave. So pretty much the only person who's going to see this is Mr. Gannon and maybe somebody at MSU. Let's see, we're missing Gabe. And so what I'd like you to do, Beth is passing out the sonnets that we're going to look at the rest of the week. What I'd like you to do is get out a piece of paper and take down these vocab words.
It took me longer than you did, I'm sorry.
It's okay. There's a possibility they might end up on a quiz, and I definitely want to make sure that we know what all of these things are before we move on from ELA and sonnets. Let's see. Okay. That's what I thought too, but I didn't, you guys, I figured know better than me.
I have locker troubles.
Gabe.
It's not my lock on my locker, I swear. Like, it's, I had to
Like
get,
someone straight
I had to
to
get the
you.
attendance office to open it.
Okay.
But it just,
I will let you off the hook that time. Okay, so we're writing down these vocab words on the board, please. And we've been asked to make an announcement about Tom Romans, which I'm sure most of you guys already know. So Tom Romans, the father of Gabby, Emily, and Abby, died this past weekend. The principal and the superintendent, Ms. Scallion and Dr. Moore, visited their house, and of course they're all very sad, which I'm sure some of you know better than we do. And we just wanted, the whole staff is just talking to you guys in case you need to find someone to talk to. You know, the counselors are here, any of the teachers, we're all available, okay? Oh yeah, and Mrs. Scallion wanted us to say this is a time when we put our hearts around each other as a school community. So, in light of homecoming too, I hope that's what's happening this week. Okay, so does everyone have these vocab words written down? Okay, we're gonna define them for the rest of the class. Period. What we're working on the rest of the week is, today we're going to talk about what a sonnet is. Tomorrow we're going to read the sonnets in class. And actually it's probably going to take us Tuesday and Wednesday just to read these little poems because they're quite complex and then language can be kind of difficult. So we're going to work on these poems Tuesday and Wednesday. Thursday you're going to have time to write your own sonnet, and Friday your sonnet is due. Friday we're going to start Romeo and Juliet in earnest. Okay, we're probably going to watch a PBS film about Romeo and Juliet in past productions of it. Okay, so you're not going to have a journal due this week, you just have a sonnet due on Friday, okay? We're going to talk about what a sonnet is today. So the first thing I want you to do is look at these poems and see if you can spot anything similar between all of them. So look at the poems, see if you can find any similar characteristic between all of them.
did we turn the thing?
Yes.
Wait, we turned in the letter?
Yes.
You guys did?
So look at these poems and see if you can spot anything similar between them.
Do we have that page?
What-
Poem page?
Oh, you know. Does anyone have a guess? A sonnet is a form of poetry, and they all share some similar characteristics, generally. I mean, some sonnets, some contemporary sonnets, the writers don't stick as tightly to the form, but a Shakespearean sonnet is going to have a similar form, similar characteristics every single time. Can anyone notice something similar between these poems? Okay, the first thing I do when I get a poem in front of me that somebody asks me to read or analyze is number the lines. So that's what I would do here to start off, number the lines. And the line, this is our first vocab word. A line just means a sentence of poetry. Okay, in prose, in fiction or nonfiction, we have sentences. In poetry, we have lines. So the first thing I would do, not just with a sonnet, but if I had any poem set in front of me, is number the lines. Okay, I always do it just like that on the left side. This helps me when I'm doing my citations at the end. If I end up writing about this poem in a journal, I can use a line in my citation to tell the reader which line I quoted. Okay, so what did we notice? How many lines are in a sonnet, a Shakespearean sonnet? Yeah, okay. 14. Yep. So when you write your sonnets for Friday, we're looking for 14 lines. That's the first characteristic. Anything else you can notice about this? What about the second vocab word I have written up there, rhyme scheme? What is a rhyme scheme? Also, you can call it a pattern of rhyme pattern. Yeah.
So the first line has sun, and then the third line has sun. So every, like if you're trying to rhyme the end word, it skips a line and then rhymes with the.
Yep. And let's talk about how to describe that. So rhyme scheme as a vocab word is probably pretty obvious. It's the pattern of rhyme. And let's just write here what the end words are in this first stanza. So it goes sun, red, done, head, and then white cheeks, delight, reeks. So we denote rhyme scheme with A, B, C, D, E, F, G, okay? So what I usually do is write the rhyme scheme on the other side. So I have my line numbers on the left side, on the right side I'm going to write the rhyme scheme. And this is how I would do it. The first ending is A. The second one doesn't match A, so this one would be B. Done matches what? Sun, so it's A. Head matches red, so it's B. And that's how I would describe the rhyme scheme, okay? You can use more formal words to describe this rhyme scheme, but for our purposes, it's fine if we just say a rhyme scheme that's A, B, A, B. Okay, that's what we're looking for in our sonnets. Most Shakespearean sonnets, I mean, there are a couple who that aren't this regular, but almost all Shakespearean sonnets are going to have an A, B rhyme scheme. And if we wanted to do this whole stanza, white is the new ending, so it would be C. Cheeks would be D. Delight would be C. Reeks would be D. You see how we do that? Ethan, did you have a question?
I just noticed in like the very end of the sonnet that it was changing.
Right. Yep. So it has a rhyme scheme of A, B, until the last two lines. The last two lines rhyme with each other. Yeah. We can put that in. Although I didn't count on sonnets that didn't rhyme the last two lines, but that's last two lines rhyme. Okay. Stanza. What's a stanza of poetry? These poems only have one stanza, so we're not going to get into talking about stanzas in too much depth. Yes?
Isn't there when it's like, paragraph of the poetry?
that what you're gonna say?
No, I actually was gonna say when it's like guacamole, then like the O has something, like, or the G has something, it like goes down the line. But that's not,
Okay, that might be meter, but for now, we're just getting stanza down. Stanza is a paragraph of poetry. So in prose, in fiction, nonfiction, we have paragraphs. In poetry, we have stanzas. This is just one stanza. Each of these poems, most sonnets are just one stanza long. But when you get to reading other poetry in other classes, you will see poems with multiple stanzas. Okay, and the next important thing about sonnets has to do with meter. Has anyone heard of meter before? You know what it means? Okay, this isn't the technical definition, but I'm just going to give you my shorthand definition. So it's the beats in a line. It's the rhythm of a line. Okay, it's kind of a musical term that's applied to poetry. It's the rhythm of the words in a line. It's the beats in a line. Syllables are really important in meter. Okay, so meter is usually determined by figuring out how many syllables there are per line. So can anyone look at this first line here? My mistress's eyes are nothing like the sun, and tell me how many syllables or beats there are per line in a sonnet, a Shakespearean sonnet, at least. How many? I heard somebody say it. 10. Mm-hmm. Sonnet has 10 beats per line. Can anyone describe the rhythm of those beats a little bit more? This is tougher. The 10 beats per line are made up of unstressed and then stressed syllables. And this together is called iambic pentameter. And we're going to explain what this is a little bit more if you're lost. So iambic pentameter is a form of meter. It's a form of meter in which a line has 10 syllables or beats. In a pattern of unstressed stress. If this seems really hard, let me assure you that iambic pentameter is how most of us talk. So Shakespeare wrote how people actually talk. And if you don't try very hard and you're just writing along, trying to write a sonnet with this rhyme pattern, you're probably going to get pretty close to iambic pentameter without even trying, because most of us talk this way. Let's write it out here. I'll show you how to track a line of poetry real fast, and then we're going to bang it out on the drums. Also, I have to tell you guys that when I was in graduate school, I taught creative writing with a poet who was from the East Coast, and of course I'm from Montana. So whenever we tracked poetry, whenever we tried to figure out what the beat of poetry was, we often had conflicting responses, because the way we talk in Montana or the way people talk in the South is a lot different than how they talk on the East Coast. So sometimes the syllables that I stressed were totally different than what he stressed. So meter, iambic pentameter, is 1, mistresses. I don't know if he meant for that to be 2 or 3. I's, let's make it 2, are nothing like the sun, right? Mistresses is probably 2. So is my a stressed or unstressed? Oh, I think he means it to be this. So this little U means it's unstressed. If I put this there, it means it's stressed. My mistress's eyes is definitely stressed, right? So if I was going to track this line of poetry, this is how I do it. The little U on top means it's unstressed. When I put that slash there, it's stressed, unstressed, stressed. R is unstressed, nothing like the sun, okay? It usually ends on a stressed syllable. This is called a foot, but that's getting into like what they study in AP English, okay? If you are so interested, 2 syllables together of 1 unstressed and 1 stressed syllable is like a metric foot. Okay, this is a foot. If somebody talks about a foot in poetry, that's what they're talking about, but we don't need to know that for our purposes. We just want to get down that we have 10 beats per line in this pattern: unstressed, stressed, unstressed, stressed, unstressed, stressed, unstressed, stressed, unstressed, stressed. So the pattern repeats itself 5 times, okay? Do you think we could do that on a drum?
Yeah.
Maybe. Who's in band? Who tried to leave us? We'll let Nick try first. So the unstressed syllable would be softer, right? So it goes soft, loud, 5 times. That's iambic pentameter. Okay, so we have 10 beats. 10 beats in the pattern of unstressed, stressed. Okay? Got it? Can you demonstrate for us? Okay, let's listen. This is iambic pentameter. Truly, it's a beat on a drum. Okay, go for it. Okay, was that? I wasn't counting.
That's 5 each.
Okay, good. Yeah. So 10 beats, 5 soft beats, 5 hard beats, alternating. Okay, do you want to pass it to one of your neighbors to try? So unstressed, stressed, unstressed, stressed, unstressed, stressed, unstressed, stressed. Sorry. 5 times.
It's gone.
Is that an eraser?
It really good. So is it?
I don't know. Okay, go ahead. Yep. That's iambic pentameter. That's what you're going to try to make in your poems. And I'll tell you, last year I didn't count off for people who didn't get iambic pentameter perfectly, but Ethan Johnson did, okay? Except for one line, he had his whole poem in iambic pentameter, so I was super impressed by that. Okay, Isabel, you can go ahead and try.
I'm gonna hit it really hard.
Don't break it because of Mr.
You'll
Smith.
have to come back. I'm not ready yet.
He'll be upset. Just go on hold.
Why are people so shy?
when we're drumming it, that it's kind of a, I don't know, that rhythm seems very familiar to most of us probably, because it's how we talk, and
So you do like 5 soft ones and like not soft ones.
yeah, but they alternate, it goes soft, loud, soft, loud.
Just hit it 10 times, soft, loud, or rough. You got it.
It's hard!
Just alternate sides for 10 minutes.
Just like.
This is what you're playing on the drum scheme. Unstress, stress, unstress, stress, unstress, stress, unstress, stress, unstress, stress.
Oh, that makes sense.
It's just like soft.
That was more.
Okay.
Genius.
Do we sort of understand what iambic pentameter is? Is anyone really confused still? Kind of, you got it? Okay. Make sure you have this down, what a sonnet is.
Could you start a line with a stress?
Not in super traditional iambic pentameter. Then it would be a different type of meter. You can do that. You can do pretty much anything you want in poetry. But for a really traditional sonnet that uses iambic pentameter, it starts with an unstressed. Make sure you have down the definition of a sonnet because you're going to need to know it on Thursday and Friday. Does everyone have it down? So we're looking for a poem with 14 lines with A, B rhyme scheme. The last 2 lines rhyme with each other. 10 beats per line, unstressed, stress, or iambic pentameter.
Wait, when is this due?
Friday. You're gonna have time on Thursday to work on it. Okay, let's start with the actual sonnets themselves. So let's have someone read for us, and before we read, I'll just tell you a little bit how to read poetry. So when we end a line and skip to the next line, this is called a line break. So the first line break is between sun and coral. Okay, that's a line break. What is it?
I almost sneezed.
Just look at the light.
You made it great.
It was intense. I was like, is it
Look
You
at
do
the
it
light.
in
The light. Look at the
Okay,
light.
so the first line break has a colon. And we need to learn how to read poetry with these punctuation marks at the end of a line. So when you see a line break, the sort of hierarchy goes, period is the longest pause. Then we have like colon, semicolon, comma, and nothing. So sometimes there is no punctuation at the end of a line. Let me see if I can find one. There's one.
Number 7.
Yep, 7 or 9. So when I'm reading line 7, I just read over that line break like it's not even there. And the action of my eyes skipping down to the next line will give me enough of a pause so that it sounds right. So I would read, and in some perfumes is there more delight than in the breath that from my mistress reeks. Okay, I hardly even pause. I just read it exactly like it's a sentence, like they're connected, and my eyes skipping down to the next line will give enough of a pause. If I have a comma, a semicolon, a colon, these things are a little bit longer of a pause. So if there's nothing at the end of a line break, I don't really have any pause. These are a little pause,
A lot.
and the period is a bigger pause. Okay, got that? Okay. Would anyone like to volunteer to try to read this first sonnet? Okay.
So,
Go.
okay.
Okay, so if there's nothing, if there's no punctuation at the line break, just to keep on reading, just let your eyes skip down to the next line. You only have to pause when there's punctuation.
You can do it. So like,
wide than her breasts are done. If hairs be wires, black wires grow on her head. I have seen roses damask, red and white, but no such roses see I in her cheeks. And in some perfumes is there more delight than in the breath that from my mistress reeks. I love to hear her speak, yet will I know that music hath a far more pleasing sound. I grant I never saw a goddess go. My mistress, when she walks, treads on the grounds. And yet by heaven, I think my love is rare, as an issue belied with false sweet.
Yeah, that was wonderful.
Dang.
Okay, so what is his mistress like? Anyone catch? We'll go through it line for line, but
She has wires on her hair.
No.
Her hair is black.
yeah, no, she does. She has black, wiry hair, okay? Is she beautiful?
No.
No. Okay, yeah. So let's go through it line for line to see if we can figure out what Shakespeare's talking about here.
I thought that it was the opposite.
What are these?
It is kind of the opposite. We'll get there by the end. He has a different definition of beauty than what most of us believe is beautiful. Okay, my mistress's eyes are nothing like the sun. What does that mean, Caitlin?
Her eyes don't sparkle.
They're dark. They're dark.
It could be dark. So when people use like a really cliched way to talk about how beautiful a woman is, maybe they would say something like, oh, she shines like the sun, or her eyes shine like the
She's
sun.
on fire.
Or something like that. Yeah, it's ridiculous, right? So Shakespeare is saying, nope, she's not like the sun. That's, kind of silly. So what I would do, I already have on my poem the line numbers and the rhyme scheme. I would even further on this side write what each line means maybe. I would translate it into my own words. So my mistress's eyes are nothing like the sun. I can translate that to like, she doesn't look like the sun, or her eyes don't look like the sun. And then the next line, coral is far more red than her lips red. Who can translate that one? Her lips aren't very red.
This isn't a very complimentary poem.
Yes, it is.
It just sounds not very, it just sounds
She's
mean.
a mistress.
We'll get
You
there.
love. You love.
It doesn't have anything to do with her being a mistress. Okay. If snow be white, why then her breasts are done. What does that mean?
She's really pale.
She's not pale, she's the opposite. So the standard of beauty at this time was, and they wore those dresses that sort of squished everything up in front and very pale. So that was the standard of beauty, right? And he's saying, no, her complexion.
Now it's like, nowadays you want to be tan, there's tan.
Orange people are
Orange people. The orange people.
So how can we translate this? If snow be white, why then her breasts are done? She's not pale and white, okay? So she's not meeting a standard of beauty.
Should I say nor white? Because that's Shakespeare. No,
If hair be wires, black wires grow on her head. So what did you say about this line, Bakaya?
It's like, hair was wired.
Her hair looks like wires. How about the next line? I have seen roses damask red and white, but no such roses I see in her cheeks. We'll go the next two lines. So what's the cliche of female beauty, right? Like rosy cheeks, especially during this time, especially in Elizabethan England, okay? Paleness, but with those rosy flushed cheeks was definitely a standard of beauty. And what is his mistress like? Does she have those?
No.
She doesn't have rosy cheeks. Yes.
Is she like black?
No. Maybe. She doesn't have rosy cheeks. And in some perfume there is more delight than in her breath that from my mistress reeks. Does her breath smell good? No. Nope. She has bad breath sometimes. So
Yeah.
What was the last
How
one?
is this nice?
Okay. I love to hear her speak, yet well I know that music hath a far more pleasing sound.
She has a loud.
Music is better than her speech, right? Yeah, her voice is not as pleasing as music.
Well, that makes sense.
But that's what people often say about women, right? That their voices sound like. Okay, I grant I never saw a goddess go. He's never seen a goddess.
She's,
So sometimes what women are compared to are goddesses, right? And Shakespeare is continually talking about standards of beauty and then setting up his mistress as the opposite of that standard of beauty. So he's saying, I never saw a goddess go. My mistress, when she walks, treads on the ground. What is that? Mortal? She's mortal. And even more, she's real. Okay, she's real. This is a real woman walking around who stinks sometimes, doesn't always wear blush or lipstick. She's mortal and real. And then the last two lines. So the last two lines in a sonnet are often the most important lines. Okay, they often are a switch. Like the whole poem is using a certain logic, and then the last two lines sort of switch and give you a new idea. Or sometimes they can be the key to understanding the entire poem. And in this case, that's very true. We need these last two lines to understand the whole poem. And yet by heaven, I think my love is rare, as any she belied with false compare. So we can get this first one right, and yet by heaven, I think my love as rare. By heaven, my love is rare. Okay, so my love is unique. My love is original. And it's rarer than any she belied with false compare. Any she belied with false compare. What does that mean?
Like she just doesn't compare herself.
What's a false comparison? Would a false comparison be something like, my mistress's eyes shine like the sun, and her lips are as red as coral, and her breast is snowy white, and her hair is luscious and black or something, and her cheeks are rosy red. Would that maybe be a false comparison? That's what he's saying. You know, comparisons like this are false. Describing women as goddesses, as like the sun, as having rosy red cheeks. Yes, this is a standard of beauty, but this is false. This is false for me, and this is not what my mistress is like. My mistress is totally different, and she's beautiful in her own real way. You get it? So this is somebody describing a real woman for you and saying, I don't care, she's beautiful anyway. Any she belied with false compare. So we're gonna talk more about this tomorrow and the next day. But Shakespeare is really interested, at least in the sonnets, in defining what real love or true love actually is. And he's interested in beauty standards and standards of what people think love is at this time in Elizabethan England. But it still applies to us today. I mean, I know plenty of examples of songs and poetry, etc., that describe women with false comparisons. And he's making fun of this in a way. He's making light of it, and also attempting to describe his mistress in a way that's quite real. Does anyone still feel like he would be insulted if this poem was written about you? Maybe he does say that her breasts are like poop, you know, something. Maybe that would make you a little bit uneasy, I don't know.
At the beginning, I'd be insulted.
At the end, he'd be like, oh, I get it. I mean, he does say her breath reeks, I don't think I'd be very happy.
I don't know why you're with that man.
more written for just the general audience who has an unfortunate idea of what beauty is. It's like responding to everyone who thinks women should have, pale skin and rosy cheeks.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a few minutes left, so let's continue on with the next one. So read Sonnet 18 to yourself really quickly, and then we'll read it out loud. Sandra, you're gonna check out 18. Again, this poem starts off with the idea of false comparisons. What's us? Someone to read it. Anyone like it? Anyone besides Gabe, although he did a wonderful job in the first one.
I'm gonna mispronounce everything.
It's okay, go ahead.
It's gonna be like compared to Gabe's right away also. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more tender. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May, and summer least hath all too short a date. Sometimes too hot the eyes of heaven shines, and often in his gold complexion dimmed, and fair every fair from fair sometimes declines, by chance or nature's changing course untrimmed. But thy eternal summer shall not fade, nor lose possession of fair thou wast, nor shall death brag thou wonders in his shade, when in eternal lines to time thou growst. So long as men can breathe or eyes can see, so long lives this, and this life gives life thee.
Okay.
Good show,
That one
Brad.
was definitely harder. Okay. This one's a little more difficult because we have more of the Shakespearean language and the abbreviations. So, shall I compare thee to a summer's day? What does thee mean there?
You.
Shall I compare you to a summer's day? We understand that, right? Should I compare you to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate.
You are
You are more lovely and more temperate. What's temperate?
showing.
It's like when the weather outside is temperate, it means that it's not too hot or not too cold. It's
Perfect.
Perfect. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May, and summer's lease hath all too short a date. Summer's lease has all too short a date. What does that mean?
Summer is too short.
Summer is short. So if I was going around comparing my lover, my mistress, my girlfriend, or my boyfriend to a summer's day, that maybe would be incorrect or false or not adequate because summer's lease has all too short a date. Summer is really short, so if I'm comparing somebody's appearance to summer, that might be inadequate. Sometime too hot the eye of heaven shines. So sometimes it's too hot in summer, and often is his gold complexion dimmed. And sometimes summer, gives us sunburns or something, ages us, dims our complexions. And every fair from fair sometime declines. So every person who is fair, or every summer day that is fair, eventually declines. by chance or nature's changing course untrimmed. So every beautiful person, every beautiful day will decline by chance or just because of nature. It's our nature to grow old. It's our nature to get wrinkled and whatnot. But thy eternal summer shall not fade. What does that mean? What's thy?
The,
What?
What's wrong?
You guys need to move?
I don't know.
But thy, tell us what it means by thy, but thy eternal summer shall not fade.
the,
Your, right?
Yeah.
Your eternal summer shall not fade. What does that mean?
But they're always,
it'll always be there. Like
She won't like give you
your
something
beauty
to
doesn't stop.
Yeah, exactly. So another thing that's going on with Shakespeare is that inner and outer beauty are often contrasted. So there's something eternal about this person's beauty that is not just embodied in their physical appearance.
Did he ever get married?
He was married, we talked about it on Friday, we have.
Oh, yeah.
He probably also
He must have
had,
been a charmer or something.
probably also had some mistresses. But thy eternal summer shall not fade, nor lose possession of that fair thou owest, of the fairness that you owe. Nor death shall brag thou wanderest in his shade. Death won't brag that you wander in his shade. So can you think of somebody who might seem like they are wandering in the shade of death? Maybe it's somebody who just doesn't feel like living anymore, isn't trying very hard, isn't living their life to the fullest extent. When in eternal lines to time thou growest, so long as men can breathe or eyes can see, so long live this and this giveless life to thee. So it's basically exactly what Cole was saying. There's something on the inside of this person that is better or more eternal than a summer's day, than outside appearances. Okay, there's something in this person's soul that speaks to the other person's soul that's more important than external appearances and is everlasting, unlike a brief summer's day. Okay, take a look at Sonnet 116 and 73. We're going to read them tomorrow. And if you'd like, you can start working on your sonnet tonight or on Wednesday.
Our sonnets always
I mean, they tend, since Shakespeare is a pretty important figure in sonnets, most people who write sonnets tend to respond to him or Spenser or something like that. So oftentimes they have that theme, but not always. I mean, sonnet just refers to the technical form, like the 14 lines, iambic pentameter, etc. But oftentimes they do have, yeah.
Okay.